understood that it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. Yeah. And I realized that, like, while all my progress was washed away, the mindset, the mental capacity was not washed away. That was for life. I knew that I could do this. And progress.
You can achieve all things if you're willing to put in the work. Welcome to another inspiring episode of Podcast with SHEILA, the podcast that is spreading positivity around the world by sharing inspiring life experiences. He survived 2 emergency brain surgeries, weeks in coma, and months in rehab to refocus his brain after a brain hemorrhage. Today, Dan will be sharing with us his life experiences and what it took to get him to where he is today. As usual, we aim to motivate, inform, and inspire you. Hello, Dan, and welcome to Podcast with SHEILA.
SHEILA, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So, in brief, who is Dan? Where does he come from? Just the basic stuff before we kick the ball rolling.
Yeah, sure. Dan's a Canadian. I lived in London for the past 10 years. I moved back last autumn, or 2 autumns ago, working in tech. So I was kind of a traveler, university graduate, working in tech, living in London, and then I moved back to Vancouver last autumn. So kind of getting myself back situated in Vancouver. But a good Canadian kid is who I am, SHEILA.
Great. Lovely to meet you, Dan. I believe today we're going to learn a thing or two from your real life experiences as we carry on with this conversation. What was life like growing up?
Wonderful. I grew up in Ottawa, Canada, which is on the east coast, or in central Canada, rather. Playing a lot of ball hockey, a lot of hockey. Used to the snow. I moved up to Vancouver in grade 6 or 7. And then grew up in Vancouver from that point on. Really enjoyed sports, soccer, hockey, softball, skiing. I played everything under the sun. Enjoyed that a lot. And then when I graduated from university, I did a lot of traveling. So, traveled throughout Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, and kind of settled in London for a little bit of a stint there the past 10 years.
Wow, let's go straight into your story then. So what happened to you in London in 2014?
Well, thanks, SHEILA. I was having these headaches in my head that were getting really persistently worse over a few weeks. I was taking painkillers like candy for them. My head was pounding. I went to A&E, which is accident emergency, as you know.
Yeah.
They thought it was vertigo and they sent me home, but they told me if the headaches were to continue, I could always get my eyes checked at an optometrist. So I went to the optometrist the next day. He, ran the test. Midway through the exam, he stops the exam. SHEILA, and he goes, "I'll be back in a few minutes." Comes back in with a sealed envelope about 5 minutes later. He tells me to go directly to Moorfield's Hospital, which I did. SHEILA, tell a lie. I stopped at home first to grab a Jack Reacher book about the child and a bite to eat, and a phone charger, and then I went to Moorfield's Hospital. There they ran the same test and I was given to Charing Cross Hospital. It turns out I had a dangerous buildup of pressure in my brain caused for a non-cancerous cyst in my head. Turns out I required emergency brain surgery. Turns out my world was to change altogether. After a frantic back and forth with folks in Canada, I was on the operating table having emergency brain surgery. When I was in there flying to London, on the operating table I had a massive brain hemorrhage, bleeding the brain. The cyst burst when they operated. Long lines and finds I'm in critical condition. I was in a coma for 4 weeks, but was in and out of consciousness for months after this. Things were dicey, touch and go. When all was said and done, I learned how to walk, talk, and smile again, SHEILA.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what everything kicked off for me in London in 2014.
Wow. I can imagine that has been a tough year for you, but how has things been for you since then? Knowing that you had a normal life when you started and suddenly things had to shift for you. How has life been since the discovery?
Yeah, well, that was a big wrench in my life. Like, I was in a wheelchair, I was in a coma. I had to battle tooth and nail with rehab to get back to walking. Walking took about 4 or 5 months to get back to walking. Talking took 3-4 weeks. The way the nurse got me talking again was she took me down to the park. She sat me in front of these kids across the park playing footy. And she goes, Dan, these kids across the park, they don't think you're good enough to talk, Dan. They don't think you're good enough to talk. That's a trigger for me, I guess, because I yelled some profanities. I'll spare you and your listeners, but I can talk. You're damn right I can talk.
Yeah.
How dare you think I can't talk? And I kind of realized that motivation would carry me through this whole process. That proving you wrong attitude would be a big part of my recovery vibe. And still to this day, it's a big part of my vibe as well, to recover and prove you wrong and to prove people right that back me. Like, I really am passionate about this. And it's a dark place that motivation comes from, but it's a real place motivation comes from. I'm telling you, you gotta ride the wave that comes. You can't wait for the perfect wave. You gotta ride the wave that comes and ride that down. Me finding out that motivated me was a huge part of my unlock in my recovery. It allowed me to kind of motivate myself to climb back up and, get back to a life of meaning and value. I did rehab for months. Occupational therapy, vocational therapy, physical therapy, speech and language therapy, visual therapy. Like, it was ongoing, arduous, difficult, grindy work that I did. Made it back to work after a year rehab. After a year rehab, I was doing 2 half days a week, SHEILA. Then 3 half days a week, and gradually I'm not doing much.
Yeah.
Returning my work at Hootsuite, which is a social media management company. And one day I didn't show up for work, or one day I didn't show up for the tube. I met my mom for the tube before I went to work. She's a bit worried, so she went back flat. And there I was unconscious on the floor. And she called 999, rushed me off to the hospital. I woke up, a couple hours later the next day in the hospital bed, hearing the beeping noise, the heart monitor going up behind me. Being told, hey, Dad, you just had a second brain injury. Second brain surgery.
Oh.
So I had a shunt in my head put in after the first surgery. That was a VP shunt, and it blocked, leading to hydrocephalus or water on the brain. That resulted in like a massive disruption in my vibe, and I woke up in the hospital bed the second time, being told, you just had emergency brain injury, but it's sinking into my head like, look, I've just been rehabbing for a year to get back to work. All that progress is washed away, and that gut punch took a long time to get over, SHEILA, and that was really difficult to navigate. But it was along the way I kind of understood that it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters.
Yeah.
And I realized that, while all my progress was washed away, the mindset, the mental capacity was not washed away. That was for life. I knew that I could do this. And progressively, I took steps to improve my life and improve my rehab and get back to work. And what I call this is chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. Get to work, do the practice, trust the process.
Yeah.
Chop wood, carry water. And if you can get your mind right, you can really accomplish anything. And that sounds a bit cheesy and a bit dry and a bit flight, but what are you going to come up with now that I can overcome, SHEILA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a very inspiring story over there, Daniel, and I'm happy we are sharing this story today. Sometimes we do not know how lucky we are to be living the kind of life we're living until we have to go through a few challenges in life that we get to appreciate life the way it is. I always say that once there is life, there is hope, and if you're alive, you're breathing, you can do a whole lot of things. Nothing should be able to deter you. So your story today is encouraging us and is telling us that even with all that you're going through, you're still doing a lot, because I've read a little bit about your story, and the kind of work you're doing is so impressive, after everything that you've been through. But we'll be talking about that in a minute whilst the conversation goes on. But what does it mean when you say naked walks? What is it about?
Naked walks.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty provocative stuff, SHEILA. No, it's not at all. It's just walking without sport or aids. So I call naked walks and having fun. Gamification is a big part of my vibe. Play, fun, having fun. So naked walks is walking without support or aids. I've been in a wheelchair for 5 months, and I moved up to the Zimmer frame. Then I moved up to the Ferrari, which is a walker that's in 4 wheels that we can waddle around quickly on and move up fast. So in Ferrari racing red, so I called it my Ferrari. Then came time for naked walks. Now, naked walks were walking without support or aids. I was walking naked. The term kind of stuck. It was long road down to the naked walks, but man, I'm just happy to move it. So naked walks for me having fun with the vibe and saying, hey, I'm going for a naked walk today. And people will be like, oh, are you sure you're supposed to do that today? It's like, yeah, well, just walk with those 4 days. It's nothing too raunchy. But I'm having fun here. If you can make something real fun, you can go a lot further than if you're not having fun. And that may be a bit childish and a bit like immature of me to say that, but like, is it immature and childish for me to say if it works? Like, if you can make some little play, you're not working at rehab, you're playing at rehab. I'm having fun doing this. I'm going for a naked walk today. It's kind of a fun way to approach it. Went on my flower today. It's kind of a fun way to approach it. Like, I'm having fun here, and that's what I want to get across. Is like, if you can make it about fun, you can make it a lot better to navigate. So thank you for the question, Sheila.
Yeah. Tell us about dropping the nurse call button.
Yeah, so the nurse call button was an issue that happened at the Wilson Rehab Center. So at the Wilson Rehab Center was this rehab facility I went to in Trinity Broadway. It's now in Roehampton. But I had to wear a splint over my left leg to help stretch up my leg. Because my leg had frozen at an angle in the coma in the ICU. I had to wear a splint to gently stretch up the leg. Gentle being the operative word. The first night I wore the splint through the night, no issue, no stress, this will be easy. I thought this will be easy. The second night, after 20 minutes, it was painful. After 30 minutes, it was dreadful. After 40 minutes, it was unbearable, which took the splint off. But I told the nurses, hey, tomorrow we're doing this for an hour. I'm a walker, I can handle this for an hour. So I thought. So the third night, they wrapped up the leg. They gave me the clicker, the nurse call button. And they go patrol the Wilson ward. Now the Wilson ward was an L-shaped, Sheila. So short on this side, longer on this side, okay? Short on this side, long on this side. They leave me in a hospital room that smells like only a hospital room can smell. Sanitized, sterilized, it's clean, but you're wondering what sort of atrocity's been covered up under the guise of this pine saw lemon zest you got going here. After 10 minutes, the leg's painful. After 20 minutes, the leg's dreadful. After 30 minutes, the leg's unbearable. The pain is excruciating. I start passing the clicker back and forth, trying to distract myself from the pain. Now, Sheila, I have double vision from the first brain injury, which means I get the pleasure of seeing two of you. May I just say, what a fantastic host you've been today. And I get the pleasure of seeing two of you, so thank you so much for that, Sheila. I'm passing this clicker back and forth, and I can't see much of this because I see two of it, right?
Yeah.
As the pain ratchets up, my pillows get more enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Until eventually, inevitably, I drop the clicker.
Yeah.
Lands on the hard linoleum floor 3.5 feet down the ground. Look over the edge of the bed, I see the clicker that landed on the floor looking back at me. If I can only get to that clicker, I can end this pain. I can stop this hardship.
Yeah.
Only problem was, drop that height might break my arm. In fact, I figured about a 50-50 chance of me breaking my arm, a coin flip. Not the best odds, I changed tack. I'm trying to do the splint, but it's not at the ankle, not at the hip. I'm not that flexible, I can't reach that far down. Help! Help, I yell. But the word Wilson was an L shape, right? Short on this side, long on this side. Short on this side, long on this side. At the far end of the ward, they can't hear me for help. They can't hear me yelling for help. I decided to drop down and grab the clicker, even if I break my arm. Even if I break my arm, I need to get the clicker off, or the splint off my leg. The clicker is what I want. That's my number one priority, 1, 2, and 3. Blow myself up the edge of the bed, crash down in a heap, it's a yard sale, blankets, wires, cables, is all go. The arm holds, Sheila, it holds, and I hammer the clicker, expecting the nurses to come bursting into the room to come to the rescue. They kind of strolled in 5 minutes later, waiting in the fluid love. That's exactly how they sounded in my mind. I tell them, let's not worry about this on top of my leg, please don't tell you all about this. So, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to that matters, right? The reason why I told you these stories, I learned 3 lessons from the experience, Sheila.
Yeah.
The first and probably most obvious was let's not pass the clicker back and forth. That's pretty obvious, but sometimes you gotta touch the stove and know if it's hot. The second was let's always do the splint up at the hip, not at the ankle. That way I can undo this shit that's happened going forwards. And the third was let's always be solutions oriented from this moment onwards. Whenever you got a problem in your life, focus on how you can fix it. Not what the problem is and how you got in there, but look at that afterwards, but how can I fix the problem at this moment in time? Solutions oriented is so key.
Yeah.
That's a key lesson, so thank you for bringing that story up, Sheila.
Wow, I see that you're a very positive person and you make light of everything. You make it look like it's not really a problem. And I believe that makes life quite easy and fun to live. But what is your driving force? And what has made it so easy for you to handle all of these?
Yeah, I think I'm a pretty stubborn guy and a pretty proving you wrong kind of guy. Motivation has really been housed in proving you wrong for the first part of this process, right?
Mm.
I was a pretty popular guy before this and invited to a lot of parties and things came easy to me, right? I was quite in the scene and after this happened, I lost a bit of edge to that. I can't really handle myself as I used to. I can't be out as late as I want to and I kind of fell off the social hierarchy a little bit, which is a bit of a frustrating vibe, but I'm still quite proud and quite passionate about this. Yeah. I want to prove that I'm worth your time, worth doing this. I've now transitioned my motivation from proving you wrong to now service, helping you. Your success is my success is your success. When I help you, my motivation doesn't end when our interaction ends, it lasts for years longer. When I'm proving you wrong, when I beat you, it's over like this. Like it never existed, like it's gone like this. When I'm helping you, I'm invested in your success. So service is my now motivator now, service. It's a very conscious transition from proving you wrong because I really wouldn't want to be that bitter old man that's like, oh, this guy did me wrong in 1996 or 2005, whatever have you. I want to be a serviceable guy that's going to add value to this world and help people navigate difficult situations. So service is what motivates me now, SHEILA.
Wow. So inspiring to listen to you. Mental health. How can one foster a stronger mind?
Yeah, so fostering a stronger mind is quite, it sounds like resilience is a big buzzword now, right? Everyone's getting more resilient,
Yeah.
Cool. What if I'm not resilient at? Well, you can foster resiliency, okay? How can you do that? SHEILA, great question. Let me explain how. You've got to keep promises to yourself. So, I used to walk in North London and Turnpike Lane. There was an area called the Ladder. This block that's built like a ladder system, right? I would literally walk I'm gonna walk for 3 blocks tomorrow. The next week I do 4 blocks, then 5 blocks, then 6 blocks, then 7 blocks, then 8 blocks. I ramped this up over the course of a few weeks until I got a stack of undeniable proof that says I do what I say I'm going to do over the course of weeks, months, and years. So I know I'm resilient because I've done this walk every day, rain or shine, for the past 6 months. So if something difficult happens in my life, I know I can navigate difficult stuff because I do what I say I'm going to do. That could be take the form of going for a walk in the morning. It could take the form of meditation in the morning. 2 minutes one week, 4 minutes a week after that, 6 minutes a week after that, 8 minutes a week after that. Like you're gradually ramping this up where you have an undeniable stack of proof that says you do what you say you're going to do. In everything. And that's how you can foster resiliency and foster mental health. So I think it's quite a big thing, but that's not an easy way to say, here's how you be resilient here. It's like, well, you have to do the work that shows that you are resilient. So you actually have to put in the work to make this happen. It's not a gift for you, but it's a gift that says how you do it is just by doing the steps. But it's not going to be easy, and by tomorrow you'll have this. It'll take weeks, months, and years of doing this to prove that you're resilient. Does that make sense, SHEILA?
I can't emphasize what you've just said anymore. I think that this week I had seen a post that had said that when you say you do something for yourself, keep your word. And that is how you improve your life. Sometimes, most of the time, we find ourselves making promises to ourselves, even when the day starts, and especially when we start a new year, and then we make New Year resolutions and all of those big promises. This year, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, and then we realize that by the end of, even not by the end of the year, that's too far. It's like when we are like a third way through the year, we have not even achieved anything on our list yet. And what you have just said to us is to it's like a wake-up call, if I should say, that when you say that you want to do something, keep up to it, and in that way you build resilience. And I think it makes a whole lot of sense. And thank you very much for sharing that. But let's move on now to talk about you now. Currently, what are you grateful for in life?
Grateful for in life. So many things in my life I'm grateful for now. I'm back in Vancouver now, living home with the parents. Grateful for that opportunity. I'm grateful for the organizations that are trust me to speak for their groups this autumn, and I'm looking forward to smash those exhibits and attempts to showcase this knowledge with groups in person. I'm quite looking forward to that. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for being able to swim and go to the gym 3 times a week. I'm grateful for friends that have helped me navigate this space and give me the bandwidth to make this happen, to make this speaking career really a reality. I can't think of something I'm really not grateful for. Everything in my life I am grateful for. I'm a quite grateful person. I'm grateful for the coffee that I have in the morning. Although it doesn't have cream, unfortunately, but that's okay. I still like it. It's dark. It's great.
Great, very encouraging. I know you're doing a lot of things and you have a podcast channel as well. Let's talk about the things you do together with your podcast channel. What do you podcast on? What's the podcast called? And let's also talk about the work you do as a daily activity to support or inspire people.
Yeah, thank you. So my podcast is called Play Loose, Look Tight, documenting the process of life after. What does the name mean, Dan? That's kind of an odd name. Sheila, I'm glad that you asked that question. Play Loose, Look Tight is a life mantra in 4 words. You want to play loose, joie de vivre, have fun, enjoyment, play loose. Conversely, you want to look tight. Be intentional with your time, with your dress. Be on time when you say you're going to be there. Do what you say you're going to do. Be intentional. Play loose, look tight, in 4 words is a life mantra you can live by. Document the process of life after is my life after a brain injury. The podcast is on pause right now, but I want to get it back rolling once I get the speaking career off the ground. We're aiming for that hopefully in the next 6 months to be off the ground totally, but we're still fighting right now, in the trenches, so I don't want to get the podcast just yet. But it's about life lessons about hardship and how to navigate difficult times. Each episode's got an expression and a hack to kind of keep things light and fun. It's a heavy subject matter, but it's a very light way to approach this stuff, because if you don't have a dark sense of humor, I mean, I navigate this with dark sense of humor, and that's my vibe. And if that doesn't work for you, hey, fair call, but that's how I navigate this. I'll poke fun at difficult stuff and difficult times, and if you got thin skin, maybe it's not for you, but I think it's a really helpful part of the process to kind of listen to someone who's been through this difficult time as well. How I feel my days now is I'm a speaker full time. Sheila, so I set a call this morning before you about a gig I'm doing in October, nailing down the final details about what the expectations are, my time limits, and the audience size. So I'm getting a presentation ready for that, which is quite exciting. I gave a gig last week to the city of Delta, which is a city in Vancouver, to about 70 people there, which is pretty exciting. And that's how I fill my time now, is by speaking and sharing the message of hope and resilience and mental health to groups and organizations going forward. So thank you for the question, Sheila.
Great. I don't know when, but I think just today I've been reflecting and I'm thinking of some of the things I've gone through in the past, and I've just been looking at the good side, how it's turned out or played out to be good, but when it started earlier I didn't look like anything good, and I had come to a conclusion to myself that there is good in everything we see and everything around us. It depends on what you're looking at and what you're focusing on, and it looks like what you've shared with us today says a lot about that. You could be going through something to you think is a bit messy or not really the best, but it's because you're looking at the messy bit. Why not shift your attention to the positive side and what you can do of what positive you can do of whatever you're going through. And I think that's the main focus for this particular podcast we are airing today. It doesn't matter whatever you're going through, just think of how positive you can spin that around and make it work for your good and for other people. And it looks like, Daniel, you've been a blessing to a whole lot of people through your experience, and I'm happy we are sharing this here on Podcast with Sheila today, because that is what these are some of the things Podcast with Sheila was set up for, because everybody is going through something. And sometimes we need to hear some of these positive stories to encourage us to know that if others have been there and come out of it successfully, then we can also do it as well.
Yeah, Sheila, it's a great point, and there's a great video that I'd like to draw your listeners to as well, called Good by Jocko Willink. Good by Jocko Willink on YouTube. And it goes through this process of there's always going to be some good and whatever bad happens to you. And it's not always to say, look at the rose-colored side of the world, like rose-colored glasses, oh, you're so naive, Dan, it's ridiculous. Like, You can choose if it's good or bad. Everything in life you can choose if it's good or bad. It's what you do afterwards that matters about that, right? Like, I've just chosen to look at this like from the positive point of view. I refuse to allow myself to fall down the pity spiral is what I call this. And the pity spiral is the woe is me, this isn't fair, this isn't right. And to be blunt with you, Sheila, it's not fair. It's not fair that this happened to me, but guess what? No one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
So you can be right about that, you can be dead right the whole way through, but no one's coming to save you. So unless you pick yourself up, you're going to be nowhere forwards. Wishing something did not happen is not an adequate way to resolve it or move past it. Wishing something did not happen is not getting you anywhere forward but staying in the same spot, spinning your tires. So don't wish. Get after it and go get it.
Get up and go and get it. I totally agree with you. What will the final message be to our listeners as we wrap up?
You're stronger than you think. You may be doing the heavy blow right now. I think you can handle it. I think you can navigate your way through it, but you've got to put your mindset together forwards and take it one step at a time. One step at a time. Don't get bogged down by the whole big picture. What's the next step you can take? And the next step, and the next step. Don't get intimidated by the big mountain. Take the next step, okay?
Great.
It's like 5 messages in one. There you go.
Great. It's been lovely having you here today on Podcast with Sheila. Daniel, we would like to say a massive thank you for coming here on our show today.
Sheila, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you very much.
Great. If you've been listening in, this is season 2, episode 94 of our podcast series where we bring seasoned guests with inspiring live experiences to share with us. Do not miss out on all these lovely experiences. Subscribe and be notified when a new episode is released. Whilst at it, please drop us a rating. We have a video presentation of this episode on our YouTube channel. Just search for Podcast with Sheila on YouTube and you'll find us. Our prayer for you this week is to never give up when challenges arise. Together, we'll make the world a better place. Until we meet again, have a brilliant week.